After watching tape, critical that we improve in all three phases. All three phases had significant errors that prevented us from having an opportunity to win the game, self-inflicted wounds. Before we can win a championship, we must first not beat ourselves, and that's really the message to our team. We got to play team football. Too many times, the defense went 3 and out. Offense went 3 and out. Offense has got to get a drive going right there. We gave up a touchdown on defense, and then the offense didn't do anything with the football. We end up not converting on a 4th down right there. So got to learn to play complementary football, and that's our focus this week is feeding off the energy of each other, and then making sure before we can win a championship, we must first prevent from beating ourselves. Tough task ahead of us this week. Obviously got a really good football team. They're leading. I think they got the nation's longest winning streak with 7 wins right now. They got a ton of momentum. Obviously Coach Pruitt's done an unbelievable job going on his 3rd season there. He's really dug that Tennessee from a place that was in a dark spot, and he's really done an excellent job recruiting, establishing his culture. He's got tremendous schemes on offense and defense and special teams that you can tell that they're extremely well coached in all 3 phases. He's got a senior quarterback who's played a lot of football in this league and does an outstanding job of being putting the ball where it's supposed to be when it's supposed to be there. You can tell he's adapted to the offensive system. They're very big up front on the offensive line. Every one of their starters is over 300 pounds. They got excellent running backs, big, long, physical wide receivers out on the perimeter. So another tall task for our defense. Offensively, they return a bunch of starters. A bunch of starters. I think I got there with they have 8 returning starters on the defensive side of the ball, or guys who played significant minutes. Do an excellent job with their schemes. Derek Ansley is a really bright football coach and a defensive coordinator on the rise. And so know that it'll be a very difficult task. Final thing, just want to address something that occurred after the game. We're new to each other, just dealing with the media. And there was some unfair questions asked to our players, specifically a wide receiver. I'm the one that calls the football plays. I design the plays. If you got a question about why somebody's not getting targets or why they're not getting the football, I'd appreciate if those questions come to me. We put him in a bad situation, and that was not fair to the young man after that game, after the first game of the year, to question why he wasn't being used enough. I thought was really just tacky and trying to divide a football team, and I didn't appreciate it. And with that, would like to open those kind of things up for if you want to be critical of those kind of things. Again, I'm the head football coach and the offensive coordinator, and how we utilize players in our offense and our defense and our special team ultimately results and lies with me. And I'd like for those questions to come to me. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
All right, first one's going to come from Gabe DeArmond with Power Mizzou. Gabe, go ahead.
Yeah, Eli, just availability updates. First of all, what's the situation with Jarvis Ware? And then do you anticipate getting anybody back that you didn't have available to you last week?
We have had another opt-out. Aubrey Miller is going to opt out of the 2020 season. Jarvis Ware is day-to-day, and we hope to get him turned around for Saturday. We are in that gray area. There's a 4-day return to play protocol with some of our guys. And depending on how these next 2 to 3 days and the results of that testing goes, will determine who's available. We had 0 positive tests on Sunday, and we took a test again this morning, and I'll get those results tomorrow. And then we take another test on Thursday, and I'll have those results. So as of now, there are no new updates other than those 2 updates.
Mitchell, 40, go ahead.
Hey, Eli. I know you touched on Zeke Powell a little bit last week, but I was just curious, how did he kind of come on your all's radar? And was he someone when you brought to campus in early August that you could have envisioned, starting week 1?
We knew Zeke was incredibly talented. Coach Woods had been recruiting him. He was the primary junior college recruiter. We knew he was a bounce back from South Alabama, and we actually had looked at him in the first signing period, but there was some academic things that we needed to make sure he could correct first before we would have the opportunity to sign him. We knew he was talented. Obviously, we couldn't have foretold the future as far as what happened with hiring, but we knew we needed some depth at the tackle position. And he's a guy that's been available. Obviously, Bobby Lawrence is a guy that was competing for that position, but had a setback due to things outside of his control. He did a nice job for his first, SEC start. But there's a lot of things I know after watching that tape, he knows that he can do better on, and that's really our focus, all of us improving, finding ways to improve this week.
Dave Matter, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Eli, outside of some of the negative plays we saw, just how'd you think Sean played, and after watching the film of his game?
I mean, negative plays are part of the plays as a quarterback. It's the holistic approach. I mean, if you don't throw those, this is a hypothetical, but if you didn't throw those 2 interceptions, you played a good game. You threw those 2 interceptions. So, I thought he showed some toughness. He took some hits in the pocket and stayed in there. But again, I think he had somewhere minus 40, minus 35 yards rushing because of the sacks and negative plays. And those just cannot happen, and those have to get corrected. And those are part of the game. So there's really no, well, if he played good, but I mean, you either played good or you didn't. And right now nobody played well enough to win. So we all got to improve. I didn't coach well enough to win. I didn't call plays well enough to win. And at the quarterback position, we have to improve.
Peter Baugh from The Athletic. Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, Eli, kind of touching on the quarterbacks like Dave did, do you ultimately want to get to a point where you're playing like one guy the entire game, or are you kind of okay with maybe having multiple guys taking meaningful snaps in a game for like the whole season?
I'm comfortable playing multiple guys, meaningful snaps throughout the season. I don't think this is going to be a typical season like we've ever had before. I mean, you look at the news today with the Tennessee Titans and Minnesota Vikings and the COVID stuff, and Notre Dame's had a ton. I mean, we just don't know. Miami-Dade County spiked, I mean, I don't think we have enough data to think that we're going to be able to go through the entire season with one quarterback. And so, I mean, ultimately, I think both guys played well. Both guys competed. Both guys gave us exactly what we expected them to give us, and both guys will get reps moving forward.
And then a quick
follow-up from the Kansas City Star. Go ahead, Suichi.
Sorry, Peter.
Am I good? Okay. Hey, Eli, just wanted to ask about going for it on 4th downs. What's kind of your philosophy or thought process when you go for it?
Yeah, if you're too far away to kick a field goal, you got to go for it. And if you're too, if you can pin them back. I mean, it's kind of a gut feel, and it's kind of what it is. Obviously, the last 4th down of the game, I mean, there's no point in kicking a field goal. It was either score a touchdown or nothing. And, we need every rep we can possibly get right now. We've been cheated out of, spring practice and practices and all that. So, we need to take advantage and own every opportunity and every rep we can get. And that's really what that last drive was all about was, we need that 2-minute work. We need those drives and those opportunities. And that's what we were trying to do.
Peter, sorry, you can get your follow-up now.
Oh, you're good. With Connor, was him playing the first series of the second quarter, was that something you guys had planned out before the game, or was that just kind of the feel of how the game was going?
No, it's what we planned.
Gotcha.
Adam Cole from the Missourian. Adam, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Now that you've had a bit of time to look at film, I'm just curious what stood out to you about Larry Rountree's performance Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, he's a tough physical runner, and he didn't back down. Yep.
Eric Blum from the Missourian. Eric, go ahead.
From the Tribune, not the Missourian. It's all right though. Just Coach, going back to the quarterback. Excuse me. What did you like about the play, either in camp or whatever you saw during the summer, about Sean and Connor that made them 1-2, or however 1A, 1B on your depth chart, whatever you call it?
They were consistent in getting our football team into the end zone. And really that's the number one criteria for being the quarterback. It's really not stats. It's really not, you know, all the different other measurements. It's about, do you lead your team to scoring drives? And those guys were consistent in doing that in fall camp. And you know, that's what they've got to both consistently do. You know, Connor was, 50% on scoring drives. He had one touchdown in the first drive. He didn't. And he had an opportunity on that scramble to get the first down with his feet. And that's the thing that we have to do. We have to take advantage of the plays that we have and make the layups that we have for us to consistently stay on the football field. And I thought he showed incredible growth because on the last fourth down, he did use his feet to score. So that was positive.
Next one comes from Mitchell 40 from Power Mizzou. Mitchell, go ahead.
Eli, we've seen just throughout football, receivers are used more and more now in the running game, both through handoffs, but also kind of in extensions of the running game with quick screens and throws out to the flat. I'm curious, just what is the advantage of using receivers in that way in your offense?
Yeah, it's just about getting guys with speed and quickness, the ball in their hands. They have a different skill set in the open field than maybe a wideout or than a running back does. And, you know, running backs usually run behind traffic. You try to get those guys out on the perimeter and go from there.
Andrew Kaufman from KMIZ. Andrew.
Hey, Coach. Going to Tennessee, Neyland Stadium has more than 100,000, fans usually. The fact that that's going to be limited, do you feel like that's an advantage for you guys getting to play there with limited fans being road team?
I have no idea. I've never been to Neyland Stadium. I've never been to Knoxville, Tennessee. That's the thing about football. Each week is a whole new set of challenges, and you're going to have to really zone in and focus on what you can control. Anytime you go on the road, it's about your team and the energy you create, the focus that you have, the competitive fight that your team will put to all get on the same page and feed off each other's energy. So to me, whether there's 100,000 people in the stands or whether there's 2,500 cardboard box cutouts, it's going to be about our team and our energy and our focus, and really doesn't have anything to do with them.
Gabe Bjarman from Power Mizzou. Gabe.
Yeah, considering how limited he was throughout camp, did you like what you saw out of Damon Hazelton and just how involved he was in the game plan on Saturday night?
Yeah, I think he started slow. I think that's probably a result of the lack of practice time and consistency and being available for practice. And I think he noticed that. But I thought he had a next play mentality and bounced back and competed hard and gave us an opportunity. I thought he broke several tackles on some under routes, and I thought him and Sean's best rep was down there on the third and 10 late in I think it was the third quarter, and they brought an all-out pressure, and both guys were on the same page. So there was definitely things to build on, but just like everybody, there's got to be a lot of improvement. We didn't do enough to win the game at any position. And there's no moral victories. There's no, we fought hard. I mean, that's the expectation. Always compete is the expectation. That's the bare minimum for what we're trying to do here at Mizzou and what we're trying to accomplish. And so, we're not going to be satisfied for just being in the fight. We're here to, compete to win the game. And before we can win the game, we got to keep from beating ourselves. And those were the things that showed up on tape. And it's not just one person, it's everybody. And it starts with me and works our way down to the staff, to the players. We got to control what we can control.
Dave Matter from the St. Louis Post. Dave.
Eli, how did you feel like some of the new in-game policies down on the sideline went? Was it pretty smooth getting adjusted to things?
It's all unique and different, and I don't know how I managed the mask thing. I have no idea if I left it on or took it off. I think as coaches, we're so used to just we're in that moment, engaged in that moment, doing what we need to do to get the play run successfully or coach our guys. So, there's a lot of stuff going on that you're really unaware of. I thought the expansion to the 15-yard line was positive because you can be further down to communicate with your guys. I think for the most part, our staff again, most of it's a blur. I wasn't really looking to see if people had their face masks on, but I thought, I know that Coach, our DFO Lutz and those guys were walking around making sure we had it up. So I appreciated that, but I don't know. It's all new to me. I think more we do it a couple of times. I think we'll notice it more. I think the thing that's the toughest right now to get used to is the consistent testing and the consistent changing that occurs because of the testing, and just the policies that seem to change quite a bit. And it's nobody's fault. It's just the sake of the virus. But it seems like there's always new information and some sort of new nuance that is coming out.
Colin O'Brien, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I was just curious. You talked about errors on special teams. Was there something other than the fumble and punt return that stuck out to you? And then kind of going off of that, a couple of your opt-outs have been contributors on special teams. Do you think that'll be an issue at all this season? Numbers there?
Again, like the other than the fumble, like there is no other than the fumble. Like you can't fumble a punt return. Like you can't muff a punt. There's only, I think we made them punt 4 times. So if you give it back to them once, there is no other opportunity. But with that being said, our kickoff return, we had a couple of missed assignments and poor jobs on a kickoff return that didn't get out of the 20, which is unacceptable, which is why we fair caught the rest of them. On punt, the first punt of the game, we had a busted assignment. It was just a really good job by Grant to get the ball off. So, there's some issues there. It is what it is as far as the opt-outs and the players. And, we're going to go on with the opportunity to play football this year and represent this great university, and be privileged to have the opportunity to play. And the guys that are here are committed to each other. They've proven that commitment to each other by, again, a second round of testing with 0 positives. And so, we're playing football this year, and the expectation is for us to always put a team out on the field. And so with people leaving, that provides another opportunity for people to play. And it's our job as coaches to get them ready. And we'll do the very best we can to get whoever is available to the game and put a quality product on the field. And that's our jobs.
Max Baker from the Columbia Missourian. Max, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I was just wondering if I know stuff is being done to sort of limit contact tracing on like airplanes and just while traveling. And I was wondering if sort of like if you've noticed sort of like a disadvantage or like anything different from last year in terms of your preparation or players' preparation with all the stuff that's being done because of the virus.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we're all at a disadvantage because of the virus. We're all at a disadvantage from the way we interact. Football is a chemistry game. It's a chemistry sport. There's a limited amount of communication and high fives and all the different things that you can do to build chemistry. There was a limited number of opportunities to practice. There was a limited number of opportunities to work out together. I mean, football is a game of consistency and chemistry, and we haven't had those. I do not know what travel is going to bring. I have spoken to a few colleagues around the country who have experienced some very difficult things because of the travel. Anytime you travel on an airplane, the potential for contact tracing is extremely large, which is obviously what's happened with the Tennessee Titans and obviously what happened with Major League Baseball. So that puts a whole new stress. We're having to change the way we do roommates on the road so that we don't have double jeopardy as far as contact tracing from not just home, but also on the road with roommates. Buses, we're having to expand the number of buses that we utilize so that we can try to limit the number of people on each bus to provide more spacing. So, again, hats off to the directors of football operations and to all of our administration for helping us. Again, rules change consistently from Friday morning at 6:34 until about Friday night, late Friday night. I was constantly getting updates on contact tracing and where we were at with what occurred with our positive test with a staff member. And, it's just another thing that tries to take your focus off the main thing, which is the football game. So like I said earlier, that's not changing. So we have to do a better job of managing the noise and still stay focused on the task at hand, because it's obvious that we're playing football.
Bill Pollock, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, Coach. I know every year is different, and this one's certainly more unique than others. But can you talk about the type of improvements that you typically see, just from your experience, that you typically see in teams from week 1 to week 2 after they've had a chance to play a game?
Yeah, I think the tackling and sustained blocking is usually number one. Clock management, special teams is usually another area, and then the speed of the game. Just getting understanding of the speed and what to expect on either side of the ball. You know, there's so many unknowns usually in that week 1, from what new schemes are they going to play to, you know, how do you physically match up? And I think that's usually what shows up, speed of the game, tackling, fundamentals.
Ben Arnett from KOMU. Ben.
Coach Trajan Jeffcoat out there for the first time in a long time, made some impactful plays. Can you give us shed a little light on how he's worked his way back in with the team, and maybe what lies ahead with him and his potential?
Yeah, I mean, Trajan rejoined the team late August, early September. Has done an excellent job. On his own, working out, staying in shape, and Coach Haley did a really nice job of getting reacclimated to the schemes and understanding what we're doing and getting him ready. And then I thought Coach Walters did a nice job of incorporating him just enough in the game for him to be able to make an impact. And, you know, we're excited about his growth as a player and what he brings to our football team.
Jack Sobel, go ahead.
Coach, after getting a chance to go back and watch the tape, what are some good and bad things you saw in terms of offensive execution?
We were pretty good on third downs. I think 8 for 16 is you know, 50%. The goal is to be 48%. That's good. The negative was too many major negative plays. We had a fumble. We had at least 3 sacks, 2 of them for extremely lost yardage. You know, we weren't able to consistently establish the run game because we were behind the chains. We had at least 3 drops, maybe 4, the balls that hit us right in the chest. You know, so things that get you beat, again, those are self-inflicted issues that we've got to get corrected.
All right, we got time for 2 more. First one's going to go to Blum from the Tribune. Eric, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. After games, are you usually you want a late night game? Are you want to sleep as soon as you get home, or are you breaking down game film right as soon as it ends, or are you waiting until the next morning to do stuff like that usually?
Depends on the game and the circumstance and the time. I definitely do not go straight to sleep. I probably replay the game in my mind a lot and write notes and, you know, think about things that we got to improve on. And really the process to being 1-0 starts over immediately after the game, where you start figuring out what you have to do to improve and what were the areas that you felt like, you know, for me, I start with where did I let the team down? Where do I have to be better? What could I have done differently? What do I need to do differently? And then the next morning I get in and watch every phase of the game, every play, write notes, meet with coordinators, meet with the coaches, meet with the players, and go from there.
All right, last one's going to come from Peter Baugh from The Athletic. Go ahead, Peter.
Eli, it seemed like when Jarvis went down, Ish Burdine got a lot of playing time after that. What kind of did you see from him in preseason camp to make you feel comfortable with him in such a big role?
I mean, Ish is a good player. He's got good skills. He's earned the ability there. You know, we had a plan for him to play in the game, regardless of what happened, you know, with Jarvis. So we knew he was going to play. We were confident in his abilities to get in the game. You know, feel comfortable with a lot of different corners to play. You know, we have a really a 5 DB system back there, so we got to have a lot of different guys that can play. And you know, he worked hard this summer to put himself in a position to be available and be ready. And so we were glad he got that opportunity.